Wait, what?
Music Studio. Music Studio. Snow Music Studio.
Live from the heart of the city, where real talk meets real tea. It's the conversation with Gabrielle. Wow. She's bold, she's brilliant, and she's bringing the heat. Every topic, she's bold, she's brilliant, and she's bringing the heat. Every topic, every trend. And the headlines get unpacked right here on the conversation. And today, honey, it's a hot one. She's sitting down with the entrepreneur, former president, and all around powerhouse. The one and only Torrie Berrett is in the building. So grab your coffee, turn on the volume, and you're ready for the unfiltered fun. Because it's time for the conversation with Gabrielle.
Audio chillin' circuit. We gon' make it do what it do, yeah, yeah. Put them hands together. We clapping. We drumming. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. P-E-Y-I-N-C-E, yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, my beautiful people. Welcome to the conversation. I'm your host, Gabrielle, and you already know we don't tiptoe around the truth. We stomp right through them in high heels. But you know what? That's why this show exists. We're not just here to sip tea, we're here to serve facts, ask real questions, and get into the why behind the what. And today we're doing it with a woman that doesn't flinch when the pressure's on her. She's bold, she's brilliant, and also she's a former first woman president. Torrie Brennan is here, and I can't wait to welcome her to the stage.
Emerald. Emerald.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Gabrielle.
Torrie, thank you for coming today. Torrie, it's amazing to see you. I love your outfit also.
Thank you for having me.
But now, let's just talk about it. What, Torrie, as you've been in defense, what do you think is the biggest threat right now to America, our society?
Well, our allies are always trying to harm America. And over at the Defense Department, we're working every day to find these the cracks in our allies, or not allies, excuse me, in our enemies' plans, and we're working to overthrow their attempts to harm our nation. But as you know, terrorism is a huge threat to our democracy. And so the Department of Defense is actively working to combat that terrorism.
Great, great. Torrie, today we seen your new building that you unveiled, your new HQ, and it was lovely. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, so the Pentagon is a 3-floor building. It serves as the hub and the headquarters for the Department of Defense. Um, it's a beautiful building. It will house most of the Department of Defense's employees, including the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Secretary, myself, Deputy Secretary, and other employees.
Great, great. Now let's just get straight into it. Let's talk about this impeachment against the president.
Mhm.
Torrie, have you read over the impeachments? Do you feel like they're actually, valid?
I've looked at the impeachment, and honestly, Gabrielle, I have no feelings. It's against federal law for employees of the federal government to engage in political activity. And so, for that reason, I just have no feelings.
Right, 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 right. Down with the man, down with the man, down with the man. But now let's talk about this budget, Torrie. This debt, the Treasury Department's in, Torrie. How do you feel, Torrie? Our former president, John Durant, scamming people out of thousands under his term as Treasury Secretary.
Well, it's certainly a shame that that former President Durant has scammed American citizens out of their hard-earned money. But I believe that Secretary Benjamin Goodfellow is actively working to combat these scammings, and he's working to change the Treasury Department and get America on the right track.
Yes, yes. Still waiting for them to get back to me with my money. I was scammed too. Thousands. Well, now let's talk about this budget that the president's working on. What is the budget going to see for the Department of Defense?
Oh, I wouldn't want to disclose the entirety of the budget because right now it is still under works and under progress. But the Department of Defense, like always, is going to continue to take a big portion of the budget because we are the largest executive department, and the our nation's troops do work under our department, and they need to be paid.
They
So
do.
I believe that the Department of Defense, like always, is going to take a chunk of the budget.
Now, Tori, you already know this, Tori. Transparency is key. How do you feel that you're doing now to make sure transparency is key in how you talk to the public?
Well, I mean, I agree. I do believe in being transparent with the American people, but unfortunately, classifications do exist, and there are some things that I'm limited to speak about. But yes, I do believe transparency is key in our democracy.
It is. It is. It is. Now, have you seen this transparency contract with this typer contract of him wanting to rename the White House firms?
I have seen the
What
contract.
is your opinion on it? That contract was a hot mess. A hot mess.
Well, I've spoken to President Carrington about the contract, and he's told me that he plans on not signing the contract, which I commend him for because, as I stated earlier, no American citizen should have access to our nuclear weapons, um, with full reign over their power, and they could basically use them at any time and anywhere in the world.
And to
But
have a
not to mention,
nuclear.
yeah,
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry,
nuclear
go ahead.
weapons are highly radioactive, and they need to be handled carefully. Government
They do.
workers are trained professionally to handle these weapons carefully, and that's why they have access to them. But this, I just do not believe that we should be engraving an American citizen's name on the side of a nuclear weapon that could be used for war.
Me either. I think that is totally wrong with this citizen is trying to do. Well, since we just talked about transparency is key, why haven't you released this document to the public yet, as he is your chief of staff? Well,
Who?
he works in your department, doesn't he?
Um, Typer?
Yes.
No, he doesn't.
Oh,
Unfortunately, he
sorry.
doesn't work for it.
But if transparency is key, why haven't you released this, or the president?
Well, it's the president's call to decide when he wishes to release this document to the public and wishes to release his decision on signing the document or not. So I'm gonna let that be his issue and not mine.
Right, right, right. I just think this is very horrible what could have happened today, letting someone that isn't even an American-born citizen get access to our nukes. This is horrendous what our president could have did. Torrie, how are you going to do at defense to combat this and make sure he doesn't get access to our nukes?
Well, like always, I'll provide the president with my input on the situation at hand, and I would hope that the president would take the advice of someone who's been Secretary of Defense 3 times, but at the end of the day, I serve at the pleasure of the president.
Right, right, right. What made you want to come back to this administration, of Mr. Carrington?
Well, I love the Department of Defense, and I believe it's truly a great department, and being secretary is such an honor. But I came back because there was no really good candidates in the running for Secretary of Defense, and this is a position that demands competency and time, which I have both of.
Right, 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 right. So if Mr. Carrington runs for a second term, you're going to be staying, correct?
To be decided.
Right. Okay, well, wow, I love that. I love that. Tori, I think you're doing an amazing job, Tori. You're showing out for the woman. You're our
Thank
first ever
you.
woman president, too, right?
Yes.
What were your accomplishments under your term?
Well, my term was very short-lived because I was battling an impeachment, a faulty impeachment. But I did release an executive order that would address inactivity in the public sector, specifically in the Department of Commerce and Labor, which under my term we did have a secretary filling that position, and I believe we had a deputy secretary as well.
Yes, yes, yes. Great people. How are you and your husband nowadays, since you guys are both former presidents? How is it being at home with your husband?
My husband's dead.
Is he? Oh, oh my God! I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Your
fine.
your husband's dead.
Yes, my former husband, Johnny Morin, he passed away.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Sorry about that. Um, what is your relation to Lucas Burnett? Burnett, I'm sorry.
He was my father.
Oh, your father. Oh, so sorry. Your father. How is how is your relationship with your father?
Well, unfortunately, he did succumb to his Alzheimer's disease just a few days ago, but we had a great relationship.
Yes, I'm sorry. I heard about the news. Me and him were very great friends. We worked very closely together in CIA a long time ago. We did a lot of things together. Killed a lot of people.
Mm.
But yes, yes, yes. Um, Tori, you own businesses, right, Tori? Tori,
I do.
you do, you do. What are some of the businesses you own as you've been an entrepreneur?
Well, I do own and operate Caldwell Enterprises, which is my surname. We have multiple companies under our wing. It's been so long since I've actually gotten a chance to serve as chief executive officer. I can't even remember.
Right, right, right.
And fulfilling my constitutional duties and as president, vice president, speaker of the house, secretary of defense.
How successful were you when you were the CEO?
We did pretty good, honestly.
What business is it? Do you guys own, subsidies? What do you
Oh
guys
yeah,
do?
we had many subsidiaries.
Like what?
I do. I
Like
do
what?
know we
No,
own the Costco Corporation.
Costco. That's really nice.
I would
Costco.
I would have to let me go back in my records and actually look.
Who's the CEO of your business now?
It's vacant, so the board is running it.
That's will it be coming back in the future? During
If
this
I ever
term.
stop if I ever stop serving in our amazing government, then yes, I will be returning.
Well, what do you feel about the economy right now and this whole not having a Secretary of Commerce thing? Our president decided not to nominate a great person for Secretary of Commerce. How do you feel about this?
Well, I mean, I do believe that the Secretary of Department of Commerce and Labor position is a very crucial and needed position. But if the president chooses not to nominate someone, and I serve at the pleasure of the president, so um, there's things that I'm limited to.
How do you feel about this? Well, Torrie, you can answer this slightly, Torrie. Just blank. You don't have to say it, but how do you feel about the president? We don't want him to fire you. How do you feel about the president, Torrie?
I'm going to be completely honest. President Carrington has been doing a great job in his position. He's been fulfilling his duties to the American people very well, and I think he's been doing a great job this far.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Well, yes. The sorry, one moment. The president, he is doing, somewhat good except for his election fraud. What do you feel about his election fraud?
I have no opinions on election fraud.
Okay. You don't have no opinion on his former running mate, his former VP, Cashmore?
I think Cashmore is a disgrace to our nation, and I highly condemn him for attempting to rig an election.
Right. Me too, me too, me too, me too. Me too. Well, how do you think the president is going to combat this virus and fight back against this virus?
Well,
There's multiple.
the president has issued an executive order that's outlining his um, courses of action, but from what we've been doing at Defense, we've moved the U.S. Naval hospital ship Comfort to New York City to take to take pressures off hospitals in that area. But we've also federalized the Texas National Guard, so they'll be able to respond in the state of Texas to outbreaks and pass out aid kits once they are made available by the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare.
Great, great, great. Because, I was very scared of this. On my way to the studio today, I seen this very, very great, great, great thing set up outside. We actually have one set outside the studio today. Um, the shots. We have tents outside set up with shots and shot stations, lemonade, food, and all
Mhm.
types of things. Giving aid back to the people that are sick. Yes, yes, yes. Tori, what are you doing to help out, Tori? Are you giving aid back?
Yes, I'm not going to go fully in detail, but me and President Carrington and a couple members of the Marine Corps were actively working just a couple days ago to give back to the American citizens who've been affected by this virus.
Great, great, great. I love that you're working with this president. How did that go? Did you guys accomplish something that day?
It was great. We ran completely out of aid kits. We just had a great turnout, and multiple people were able to experience relief from these aid kits.
Well, I have a couple more final questions. Tori, how do you feel about the former governor, my husband, Nick Rivera, resigning from his job, stepping down from the governor of Texas?
It's definitely very solemn because Governor Rivera, I believe, was one of the longest serving governors. He did a great service to the state of Texas and the American people. And I don't have many feelings on his resignation or any feelings on the new governor, but I know he did very good in his post, and it's definitely sad to see him go.
Yes, it is. Me and the kids cried so hard when we had to move out the governor's mansion. I kind of miss him. But the new governor, how do you feel about the new interact with the new governor's plan and all these things that he's doing?
Well, Unfortunately, I haven't really interacted with Governor Kovalev, but I do look forward to meeting with him in the coming days to discuss the federalization of the National Guard for the state of Texas.
Great, 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 great. Now, Torrie, thank you for coming to my show, Torrie. Do you have anything else you want to say, Torrie? Any final, last, closing statements?
I will actually make a statement about the Department of Defense. We're actively working for American citizens to build up Joint Chiefs of Staff. As you know, we recently just opened the Pentagon, and I am on track to making the Department of Defense the most active cabinet department, which is one of my main goals.
I love that, Torrie. Now, Torrie, one last thing. And just between us, Torrie, if there is any classified threats, that the public doesn't know about, make sure I know. Hit me on the back end. Thank you for coming today, Torrie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Loved having you today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys for watching.